Jimin's like, just making sure my abs are still there. Still there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Hello there. My name's Comedian. What's your name? Nice to meet you. So I'm continuing my reaction to the Rise of Bangtan. I just did the deleted scenes of the first episode, which was cool. They were scenes. They had been deleted out of the... Well, actually, I'm not sure about that. I'll have to quiz the video author, which is Rise of Bangtan Official. If you guys haven't seen this, then you've been living under a rock, which is bigger than the one I tend to live under. Then go and check it out. Links, obviously, as always, to all the stuff I react to is in the description. But yeah, what was I saying? I did the thing where I talked a lot and forgot who I am. Right, but I'm not sure if the scenes are deleted. I mean, they say they are, but I don't really want to sit down with these people that made this and be like, be honest, did you put them in the video and then just take them out for time's sake? Or from the start, were you like, well, these scenes are cool, but they just can't go in? Because that's often how it is with deleted scenes, and that's a dirty industry insider secret I probably shouldn't be giving away about the video industry, but, you know, that's just how it is. Anyway, I've got my quota of talking absolute gibberish out of the way, so this is now going to be a coherent and excellent and well thought out reaction. So yeah, make sure you are subscribed, make sure that you are watching, I guess, if you want, no pressure, and let's do this thing. The episode 1 was really fascinating. It gave me a lot to think about as far as like the K-pop industry and how other K-pop breeding grounds, what's the official term, like management agencies, artist agencies, kind of, you know, are manufacturing their bands in a way that is, you know, quite predatory, really. And it's nice that Big Hit kind of differentiate themselves a bit. But I learned a lot about BTS, I learned a lot about K-pop, I learned a lot about the pitfalls of fame and all that kind of stuff. I'm ready to keep learning, let's do this. Make sure to turn on the captions. Thank you for that reminder, I failed at that last time. Struggle, the BTS struggle, the rights.
I close my eyes. For a long time, I've dreamed this dream.
Is this, I don't want to hear about RM's, you know, early wet dreams. I just, better not be going that way.
Life as a zoo in a jungle. We got to find and get
I wanted to pretend I had something to say. I was hoping I could hide the fact I had to sneeze. I didn't. I just had to sneeze. Sorry about that. I've not heard this song.
Yes.
Unless it's not a song, it's just like
too cool for school.
Something RM said they put to music, which I guess is a song technically.
So I'm gonna fight against all the prejudice. Fight for my generation. Fight for my music.
Yeah, you scribble on that board.
This cold world has no more dream.
Wow. Oh, I like the theme there. No more dream. Implication being their dream of being famous is now not a dream anymore. Because it happened, not because they failed.
일일 DJ를 맡은 방탄소년... 네? 다시 하겠습니다. 안녕하세요. 일일 VJ를 맡은 방탄소년단의 맏형 진입니다.
As in visual DJ, the guy who does the visuals.
소년단의 세계 매력에 빠져보도록 하시죠.
Making a debut after a long preparation, how can the singer and album make an appeal to the general public?
Korea has around 4,000 official labels / entertainment companies / businesses that make or produce albums.
K-pop is so competitive. You have hundreds of groups debut every year.
Wow.
And it's, you know, maybe 1% is going to stay around for a few years.
Okay, I'm definitely interested to learn about the actual concept of debuting because I understand it only in passing. Because with Western artists, they kind of debut in a sense, depending on if they have management or if they just are independent and they just put stuff on SoundCloud. But not really, as far as I'm like. It sounds to me like a debut is almost like a talent show, but not quite. But almost like being like, this is your big chance. We're going to give you this much exposure on the stage, and let's see if it works. Whereas with Western music, from what I can tell, it's more just kind of like, we'll just release this and see if it sells. So I guess the nuance is lost on me, shockingly, because I'm normally all about the nuance. So I'm curious.
Market. So it has to think about developing a product that will appeal to overseas markets.
Okay, I've never thought about that. That's fascinating.
Like or appreciate that they try to pigeonhole like K-pop and like the Korean music industry as like this super like factory corporate like machine. Because where the hell do you think we got that from?
You're right.
At a certain point.
Yeah.
We were very much influenced by the Western.
See, that was the thing I was thinking about in the first reaction, because obviously, like, there are parts of the Korean, like, manufacturing industry, the music industry that seem more intense. Like they had like video footage of teenage wannabe K-pop stars screaming as they were like forced to stretch into positions and talking about how they work hard and stuff. But also, like, that is also a thing it's just so complicated. Like, if you come into this and think, whoa, K-pop's crazy, and ignore the fact that Hollywood and the music industry in America and UK isn't, in different ways or the same ways, just as predatory, just as intense, or has been at different times in its lifespan, just as manipulative, just as kind of like, well, I think predatory is a word I keep coming back to. Like it's intense. Society has moved on a long ways from when you could kind of just go into the market square and kind of like sing, and then hopefully like that would be all the validation you needed, all the attention you needed, or that would be enough to get people to care about you. Like, you basically have to just, it's almost like, corporations, like money is now what owns media, and that's definitely wrong. That's totally wrong. But to survive in our society, you need money. And the idea of what is behind the driving force behind money and making money, and the driving force behind artistry and creativity could not be more diametrically opposed, in my opinion. They are just completely opposed. It's almost sick now that to be successful at artistry, or to make art into a thing that you can do and then not starve, you can do and actually like do as a thing, as your main day thing, actually give as much attention and time to it as you would like to. You now depend on making money to make that viable. So it's almost like these corporations and labels are like dangling the keys, like dangling a breadstick even, like, okay, if you want to make art, you're going to have to like do it what we tell you. And to act like that is exclusive to Korea or any country is ridiculous. Like, it's been going on for ages now.
Or that it's wrong, but it's just what needed to be done in order to branch out.
I mean, that's been around for a very, very long time, and it happens in everywhere else too. They only focus on like a few specific cases where that happens, and then make it seem like every single part of this scene here is like that.
There are systematic, rotten problems in the idol training.
And the most interesting thing about this is that BTS are obviously the most successful so far to do it in the K-pop scene, and it seems, on the surface level, the level I know about, they have some of the most, creative control and freedom over their content compared to some of the other ones. So not only does it prove that, that's not universally true, but it also proves that manufacturing art and creativity is the wrong way to do it. That it actually works better and people will react to it better when it is more authentic, and that sounds obvious, but fundamentally this comes down to, intent versus sensibility, like, seeing the bigger picture. Like, so often, so many, if we boil this down to like capitalism, desire for money, like desire, corporate greed, so often corporate greed drives decisions that in the long run actually is worse, even for corporate greed. It's like how businesses in America have this horrible Puritan attitude where no one's allowed to be sick, no one's allowed to take time off work, you get like 3 sick days a year, and you're encouraged, a lot of businesses, you're encouraged to only not come in if you're like basically dying. But the insane thing about it is, if you come into work sick and you make other workers sick, that affects profits and productivity. It tanks the whole thing. But it's almost these days, is much more about like short-term profits. It's about punishing people. It's about treating people like they aren't humans in the short term. I'm getting a bit preachy here, maybe slightly off topic, but I do think this is all kind of related in a way. It's just ironic that BTS, in a way, have a lot more creative freedom than other K-pop artists, or so, you know, a lot of other, or some K-pop artists, and yet they're more successful for it, and yet they're technically making more money for it, you know? I think I just wish that people would learn from that lesson.
The way that it's become like a simplified, generalized narrative about the dark side of K-pop and how this bland, obvious statement seems to resonate in headlines shows that there's a problem in the way Western media perceive this new Asian culture.
You know, there's a misconception that Korean industry is like somehow more corporate. And no, even if there are certain things that they have to do, like choreography and stuff like that, right? They still have enough room to, you know, write songs and be creative.
Back in the day, heavy metals and the rock stars, you know what I mean? They're kind of like K-pop.
And this is a question I want to ask you guys, and I love being able to ask you guys this. It's like, I love being able to watch content like this and then be able to ask, you know, intelligent, educated people on this subject, like for more backstory. I guess, like I said, I don't have much of a scope on this. I've done BTS reactions and a few other K-pop artists, but it seems to me like one of the interesting things about BTS is that it seems like they they have a lot of creative freedom, like I said, and they write so much of their own content to the point where I could tell when they hadn't. Like when I first read Dynamite, like I was saying out loud, like there's no way BTS wrote this, because I could just tell like it wasn't like their kind of thing. But you know, it was successful for them and it helped them bridge out to a new audience. So whatever, like, you know, they had fun doing it. Who cares? I'm not pretentious about that kind of stuff. But I could just tell watching it that they didn't write it. But the reality is, so many of Western pop songs are written by, you know, generic like corporations, or they're written by people behind the scenes whose job it is just to write hits. And again, there's nothing really wrong with that, but I wonder like how much, like relative to Western pop, how much of K-pop as a percentage roughly, or, you know, it's close to it, is it where they're just, you know, where artists are singing like hits that were written, or how much of it is it where they're doing their own music? You know, is it the case that K-pop actually has more artists that get to write their own stuff versus Western pop? I don't know, but as a question for you guys, if you can help me answer it.
You're gonna have some characters. They wear crazy makeup and all that hair, and so this is what's happening with K-pop. Rockstar is reborn, you know what I mean?
So what is it like living as a K-pop star?
Pretty nuts, I'd guess. Pretty nuts.
If you turn on your TV any day of the week here in Seoul, you'll find a K-pop show to watch.
Huh.
It's a weekly rapid-fire blast through the latest crop of K-pop acts. These artists are already signed to record labels, but it's a competitive show. A bit of a cross between Top of the Pops and X Factor.
Which is interesting, honestly.
Boost.
It's almost like Dragon's Den for music, because it's like, we already have this product, but you know, will people buy it is the question. Whereas Top of the Pops, or not Top of the Pops, you know, the X Factor is about you trying to become the product. This is like, we are the product already. Do you want it?
Votes from the live audience as well as the viewers at home.
음악 방송을 통해서 이제 홍보도 할 수 있고 또 그리고 생방송으로 보통 진행이 되기 때문에 사실 굉장히 좋은 기회고 그런 홍보를 할 수 있는 그런 수단인 것 같아요.
Oof, I can't imagine the pressure. Abs are good to go. Jimin's like, just making sure my abs are still there. Still there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6.
제가 쑥스러워요.
The rookie hip hop.
I can't imagine, like, and it sounds like a ludicrous comparison to make. It is silly, different scale, but you know, it's already a whole thing if you're doing YouTube videos like this where you have to think about putting yourself out there. But at least, like, you get to curate, like, you know, the whole point about artistry is we often put out an image that we want to put out. Like, you know, when somebody says, check out my painting, they make sure usually that they're happy with it first. You know, they're not painting on the fly, they're not having to do something that's kind of like out. And, you know, and I guess it makes sense because live performance is very much a part of music industry. I just can't imagine, like, the hopes of your career, all the work you've put in leading up to, like, a performance you give on one evening. It almost seems cruel. And that's not me saying, oh, so therefore the Korean industry is sick. It's just like, I just can't imagine the stress, you know?
Waiting for their turn. Unlike other rookie stars, they greeted the camera in a relaxed way.
just very drunk. Well, I guess they all had each other. He had, maybe he put his little cuddly line in his, okay, this actually makes me respect, who was that with the cuddly line? It was V, of course it was V, my man V. I had a cuddly line as a kid. You know, there's a connection there, V. If you want to reach out.
안녕하세요. V입니다. 나이는 19살이고요.
Baby V.
그래서 보컬을 맡고 있습니다.
사람들이 많이 놀랬던 것 같은데 6명 그룹일 줄 알았던 방탄이 7명이 7명이라서 오래전부터 멤버들이랑 같이 생활했다.
That's straight. I wonder what the reasoning behind that was.
있었고 랩몬 형 졸업 때도 갔고 단체로 찍을 때 6명만 나왔을 뿐이지 사실 나도 있었다. 나는 카메라에만 안 나왔을 뿐이지 벽에 기대서 형들을 계속
The ghost at the feast.
앞으로 많은 것을 보여드리는 방탄소년단의 V가 되겠습니다.
Are they going to explain the reasoning behind that? Because that seems deliberate or something.
방탄소년단 드라리에서 진행하겠습니다. 셋, 둘, 하나. 네, 잠시만요.
Like I said, I can't imagine the nerves.
가족 진짜.
Like they look. I guess this was a rehearsal, maybe, but still.
바로야. 야, 그거 뭐야?
괜찮아.
Oh, no.
나한테 있어, 나한테.
Brutal.
6월 둘째 주 M 카운트다운 스페셜 MC 이준 천둥입니다. 예, 지난주
잘해야 돼요.
Like I guess I probably was never that destined to be a K-pop star for reasons, but it's just as well because I have severe IBS. I'm not severe, pretty bad IBS, and the only way I could do this would be if I was allowed to perform on a toilet. That would be quite unique, I'm expecting, but that's the only way that would work.
지금 얼굴 풀로 잡고 있어요. 왔어요? 얼굴이 너무 가까이 잡지 마세요.
Yeah, be like, can you not film me right now and trying to not throw up everywhere?
더 해줘요. 사랑해요, 방탄.
Very important for TV. But it's like look good, feel good, smell, mouth good, feel good. And the thing I was talking about in the other episode is like none of this music is bad. So like the stress of performing in a thing where it almost seems arbitrary. It's like no one here is doing bad music really. So like how do you stand out? Oh, EXO. Yeah, that's another group I've heard of. Cool beat.
감사합니다. 방탄 스왈.
안녕하세요.
Jungkook's eyeliner killing me.
네. 오늘 M 카운트다운에서 데뷔 무대를 가져요.
I feel ill watching this on their behalf. Like, how are they not projectile vomiting their lungs and intestines out right now?
안녕하세요, 팬 여러분. 둘, 셋, 팍, 타.
It's a strong start. Sounds good. If only they had this kind of like togetherness for the chants on Run BTS. Like by Run BTS season 2, it is completely gone through the floor as far as them managing to talk at the same time. How do I know this? It's on my Patreon, obviously. That's how I know.
막연히 꿈이 없는 상태로 10대를 보내다가 부모님이 공무원 좋잖아 공무원에 뭔가 10대들에게 이제 정말 네 꿈이 뭐냐 물어보고 싶었어요 정말.
See, they were still talking about real shit. Day one.
구호에 맞춰서 응원도 해주시고.
Because I don't know if that's quite what they were getting at, but it's interesting how like as kids, people ask us what our dream is, and obviously as a kid, your dream is like, you know, I want to be a pilot or Santa Claus or an astronaut. And even then, like, I just realized I'm saying this kind of like a bit sarcastically, but why shouldn't that be a dream? That, like, why is that seen as being a childish dream? You know, like, oh, that will never happen. It's by telling kids that will never happen that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. But regardless, like, it's like, and obviously, I think the main point I was trying to make is that as kids, we often don't know, you know, we haven't fully discovered ourselves yet, obviously, so we don't really know necessarily what ideally would be good for us as a proper future human being for the rest of our lives. And because of that, it's I mean, there's a whole thing I could go on to about, and you know, and I'm sure I'll end up reacting to more of their music about school, so I can talk about it more then as well. But I just think it's almost quite backwards that school forces us to say aged 18 when some of us, especially people like me who didn't emotionally develop until, you know, the age of like, well, that still hasn't happened yet. I'm still waiting. Let's put it that way. But they ask us age 18, okay, pick a university career, pick a university subject. What do you want to go to university for? And it's like, you know, and that's why so many people end up dropping out or just, you know, or not liking their subject or feeling completely stuck in what they do because you know, even aged 18, you really don't know. Most people don't know who they are, what they want to do, and all that kind of stuff. So the fact that we're pushed at that kind of age, and even a younger age than that, what do you want to be when you grow up? It's just backwards, you know. It's another sign of how like a modern like money-driven society is completely at odds with the actual humanity, what like actual human, you know, being deep down.
Everyone. Our song Normal Dream was one of the top 3 most requested songs on the After School Club.
Cool.
감성을 담는다는 거예요. 특히 젊은 사람들의 청년들이 지금 숨쉬기가 좀 벅차요. 취업 안 되죠. 꿈 가지라는데 이거 꿈 고문이죠. 희망 고문이죠. 근데 그런 것들을 참 잘 담아요.
Nice. See? They're like spitting truth from day one. And not only is speaking the truth liberating, it's almost like an act of protest in a society where the truth has become a commodity. It's become like a taboo. So people will actually reward you and respect you for speaking the truth, when it shouldn't be a taboo, but it is. So, you know, hats off to them for doing it. Well, that was amazing.
총알을 막아낸다는 의미잖아요. 총알처럼 쏟아지는 편견과 억압에서 이제 상당히 저희 세대의 생각과 가치를 지켜내겠다는 그런 심오한 뜻이 담겨 있습니다.
And ageism in general is sad. I think a lot about how one of the last isms to get taken down will be like ageism, and also like ageism towards like the elderly. But you know, ageism also goes down. Ageism, it's almost like the only group where there's not really any like solid ageism is like kind of like 30s to 50s, and then beyond that it's like, oh, these kids and oh, you know, the elderly, and it's just like, you know, it just makes things worse for everyone. Dividing people up by race, by sex, by age is just arbitrary, just ridiculous, just sad. So you just did a Matrix bullet time run on someone's back and it was so. There we go, Jin, that's the spirit.
대성공. 오예. 오예.
Wow, I'm projecting too much when I talked about them being nervous. Obviously, I mean, I need their positivity, let's put it that way. They nailed the free pose.
멤버들 연습 기간이요 3년 정도라고 들었습니다. 데뷔 전에 블로그를 통해서 직접 만든 프리스타일 랩, 자작곡도 올리고 기존 곡 위에 랩을 얹어 새로운 편곡한 믹스테이프도 뭐 올리고 굉장히 이슈가 됐었습니다. 요거는 누가 많이 했었던 건가요?
이제 저와 이제 랩몬스터가 가장 많이 그래서 네, 자작곡도 많이 공개하고 또 저희들 로그라는 저희들 하루 일지 같은 영상을 찍어서 매번 이 영상을 블로그를 통해서 올리고 하고 있었어요.
아, 직접이요?
네. 편집은 안 하고요. 그냥 영상을 찍어서 바로 올렸어요.
아, 그냥 올렸어요?
네. 아니, 팬분들이 많이 좋아하시더라고요.
아, 그때부터 좀 팬이 있었군요.
네.
그래서 그래서 연관 검색어에 데뷔 언제 해?
That's good.
데뷔를 하고 이제 처음으로 학교를 간 적이 있었는데 학교에 되게 이제 기대를 하고 이제 데뷔도 했고 이제 친구들의 반응이 궁금해서 잔뜩 기대가 부풀어서
Another thing
내가 원하지 않는 그런 밋밋한 반응들. 평범한 반응들. 진짜 왔어? 이런 평범한 일상의 반응들. 말하지 않았다 정말로.
I wonder if that comes down to like, I think something you realize that will hit you more if you try and do something a bit out of the ordinary. And I'm not trying to big myself up but a lot of people who do creative stuff find this. They try and share their work or try and get their friends interested in it, and it's very hard to. And I don't think it's because your friends are evil, but because of the way that human society is, and because of the way that a lot of us have our dreams crushed at an early age. You know, we feel afraid to go after them, or even we just don't have the privilege. Like, I can definitely say that, you know, I have a privilege that allows me to like try and do this as a full-time career rather than having to like work 10 jobs and try and do it on the side or something. There's a lot of reasons why people can often feel very insecure if they see their friends trying to do something special or out of the ordinary. And it doesn't necessarily mean because they're mean people or because they don't actually feel supportive deep down or because, you know, they want their friends to fail or something. It's just, it can be really tough seeing someone make it, if it's, you know, especially if you feel insecure about your own life. It all comes back to a society that basically mostly punishes people for trying to, you know, be true to themselves, for trying to do something that makes them happy. Like, how many people actually get to do something that makes them happy as their career? It's sad and sickening to say it's like the absolute extreme minority. But I'm guessing that might be what happened. You know, he's done this incredible thing and he goes back to school and people, you know, deep down, this insecurity, they don't want to be like, that was amazing, you know, I'm so jealous of you, or that was incredible, like, it was so cool to see you on this show, or, you know, you were great, you did great. Like, it's kind of human nature for them to just kind of downplay it, just act like nothing happened. Ask any comedian who's trying to get their friends to come to a show of theirs. You know, it's impossible. But it doesn't mean their friends are hateful people. That's what I keep telling myself at night.
뭔가 말의 심각성, 말의 중요성에 대해서 많이 느낀다. 정말 얼마 안 되는 네임밸류지만 인신 공격도 많이 받았었고, 뭐 일방적으로 정말 밑도 끝도 없이 까내리는 비난들 정말 앞으로 얼마나 많이 받을지 모르지만, 얼마나 많이 받겠지만, 너무 많이 받겠지만 괜찮다, 괜찮고 날 까고 수많은 찬사와 수많은 비난을 받겠지만 항상 당당하고. 항상 나는 이런 사람이구나.
Yeah, respect.
우리는 진짜 괜찮은 팀이야.
You just have to keep believing in yourself.
이제 와서 무슨 학생들의 반항 같은 이야기를 컨셉으로 들고 나오냐. 철진한 컨셉이다. 비판도 굉장히 많이 받았던 것 같습니다. 그렇지만 저는 그들이 자신의 이야기를 하는 것이 무엇보다 중요하다고 생각했습니다.
I think this whole lyric is actually a message to me in the past. When I was a middle school student, I studied really well, and I was a really smart and good student in the school. When I studied well and I got good score, and the adults and parents just praised me, and the adults told me that you will success. But I had no dream. I had no other dreams.
꿈을 꾸는 평범한.
Yeah, I think once I'm done with the series, I need to actually go back and react to some of their earlier music because I don't think I've really reacted to any of it. And, you know, I feel very passionate about this topic because I think education the world over is just fundamentally broken. And a lot of people obviously have said this, but, you know, we all have our own experience with it. There's just so many ways it's broken, but it's trying to put kids into a box that doesn't fit them at all. It's trying to cram, you know, a triangle into like a pentagon box. That's actually maybe a bad metaphor because maybe a triangle will fit in the pentagon because of the nature of shapes. It's been a while since I did school or learnings and stuff. It's like me trying to cram my fist into my silly mouth while I spew out kind of gibberish. It's just so wrong. It's just like the way education is done shows a fundamental misunderstanding of what it means to be a kid, of what it means, you know, to be developing, to be growing. It still stings when I look back and I think about not just, you know, like teachers with my parents and stuff. Like, I had undiagnosed ADHD my entire life until like 25. I had to diagnose myself as well, which is, you know, annoying. But like the amount of interactions I had looking back, the amount of stuff that was Ted said to me, that was written about me, you know, parent-teacher conferences, stuff like that, about how, you know, I was a smart kid, but I wouldn't apply myself, or, you know, I couldn't seem to pay attention. And just like, these people lack the imagination to think, to question themselves, why could that be? surely, you know, obviously education is perfect and there's nothing any kid wants to do more than sit in a room and learn about stuff that doesn't really affect them and they might not even need to know for the rest of their lives. So why could this person possibly be, you know, not paying attention? Like, and it's just the idea, like, that the system is perfect. So if this kid who seems to be very smart is somehow getting, you know, B's and C's in this class, then the problem must be with the student. And it's like, it's just the most backwards way of thinking. Like, the problem is with the education system.
아이돌로 데뷔를 하고 꿈과 다른 현실에 좌절도 하고 점점 스타가 되어가는 여러 과정을 거치면서 그들이 가졌던 진솔한 고민들이 음악에 담겨졌습니다. 이렇게 그들의 내면을 표현한 메시지가 같은 세대를 살아가고 있는 팬들의 마음에 닿았고
It's finally the idea of them being criticized for writing about their own experiences, because the point about creativity is to share your inner self.
첫걸음을 잘 내딛고.
That's what people relate to.
나는 그래서 현재를 좀 즐기면서 동시에 바쁘고 열심히 살려고 한다. 그렇게 살면 참 힘들겠지 몸이.
Empty love. Oh, they really put emotion to that, didn't they?
그리고 또 팬분들, 대중분들 찾아뵙고 싶다. 앞으로도 열심히 살고 또 열심히.
Well, he certainly wasn't lying.
정말 진짜로 너무너무 중요한 하루가 될 것 같아서 기분이 너무 좋다. 화이팅! 레몬스터 화이팅! 김남중 화이팅! 방탄소년단 화이팅! 뜬금없다. 아무튼 이렇게 로그 끝.
Was it random? That wasn't the first time they said fighting, was it? Okay, it's all kind of like a book signing.
2013년 1월 28일 친해일지 저희가 드디어 첫 번째 팬 사인회를 했습니다. 많은 분들이 와주셔서 편지도 주시고.
Right? It's like you can see it dawning in their faces. Like, oh my goodness, this is real.
분들이 와주시더니
This is real. People are actually relating to this. It's a good feeling.
1대1로 얘기하는 시간이
Oh, V, those glasses. Glorious.
정말 기분이 좋아.
I hope they go more into the reason V was like a hidden, like a secret member. My goodness, they're doing drugs on camera.
안녕하세요. 신기하네. 신기하네. 괜찮네. 안녕하세요. 지민이에요.
What an image they're showing for kids. They're showing us to be rebellious about school and do, you know, whippets light.
저랑 그래도 저랑 같아요. 굉장히 정말 축복받고 너무너무 운 좋고 내가 하고 싶고 내가 잘할 수 있고 내가 사람들한테 보여주고 싶은 거 삶을 살 수 있다는 게 정말 너무너무 축복받은 일인 것 같고 항상 감사하고 팬분들께 정말 기쁘게 해야 될 것 같다. 7월 24일 멤버스터의 로드 끝.
I believe him, because back then, you know, his audience wasn't that big, and he's saying that. But that's how you know an authentic person, when they say it's more about, they care about making their fans happy. I mean, it can be mentally damaging to have that mentality because, you know, it's exhausting trying to make even 10 people happy, let alone billions. But that is the mark of an honest and sincere and genuine person. And, you know, I have no reason to believe. Everything I've seen has just said that all the members are like that, which is probably part of the reason they're so... Wow. These acrobatics are nuts. I'm sugar. That's me. I mean, that was still probably a bit too energetic for me, but I'm close to that level.
오늘 아쉬운 소식 들었는데 막방이라고. 빌드힙업으로 이제 활동 마무리하면서 스스로.
What a question to ask people. If you say too low, it makes you look bad. If you say too high, it makes you look bad. Wait. What did he say? I feel like he just said something very clever.
들한테 점수를 준다면
50점 주겠습니다.
As in the 50%? That's a great politician's answer.
수고하셨습니다. 수고하셨습니다.
네, 그 전에 2013년 가장 핫한 신인 그룹 방탄소년단이 성공적인 데뷔를 마치고 오늘 굿바이 무대를 가진다고 합니다. 그럼 함께 불러볼까요? 굿바이 방탄소년단.
Well, not for very long. Jesus. I wonder how long you can keep up this kind of dancing before it utterly destroys your body. Like, I wonder if they've toned it down since then. Because, like... This song sounds cool. Yeah, yeah. I mean, you front flipped, so yeah.
다들 기다리고 있을 텐데 다음을 들어주셨으면 좋겠어요.
네. 열심히 해서 다음 앨범으로.
2013년 7월 28일 제이홉의 로그로 이제 우리의 첫 앨범 투쿨 포스쿨의 앨범 활동도 이제 끝마치게 됐는데 아 믿기지가 않는다. 지금 다음 앨범 준비에 곡 작업에 안무에 화보 촬영에 정말 몸이 한개인
What was that like the mummy photo shoot?
그 정도로 바쁘게 타이트한 스케줄을 소화하고 있는데
Yeah, yeah, seriously.
차에서도 가사 쓰고 하고 촬영 도중에도 가사 쓰고 이래도
Wow.
너무너무 즐겁고 행복합니다. 2013년 8월 7일 슈가이로
방탄소년단은 앨범 준비에 들어가면 연습이 곧 공식 스케줄이 됩니다. 연습에만 몰두할 수 있도록 다른 활동은 거의 정지하죠.
Like eating.
그렇다면 시간
going to loo.
가치를 창출하는 방탄소년단 입장에서 큰 손해가 아니냐고 생각하시는 분들이 계실지도 모르겠습니다. 처음 방탄소년단 멤버들과 만났을 때부터 지금까지 우리가 가장 중요하게 생각했던 게
You might have succeeded at that.
완성도였고 이것을 위해서는 어떤 손해도 감수할 수 있다는 마음가짐으로 준비에 임합니다. 결국 우리가 함께 해온 일들은 우리가 앞서 했던 것보다 조금 더 나은, 조금 더 완성도 높은 컨텐츠를 선보이기 위한 여정이었습니다.
That is the artistic struggle. Is trying to make stuff that's always better each time. Like it, in a way, it's very powerful, and it's, you know, it can be a great boon. It can be a great ally because it obviously inspires you to keep improving and to keep expanding your limits, to keep thinking outside the box. In another way, it can be quite damaging and punishing, and it can make you just feel constantly insecure because, like, feeling the need to improve yourself every time is brutal. Like,
But if you still feel your heart beating, what you waiting for?
2013년 8월 16일
I just killed everyone. Oh, that's really cool. Maybe I'll start appreciating their choreography more. This is sick.
누구나 지금 감기에 걸려 있다. 고통스럽다.
That is the definition of the cold.
힘들다. 솔직히 힘이 많이 드는데 힘이 많이 들어서 안 되는 동작들이 조금 많다.
Take the day off, mate. Get to bed. Have some Lemsip. Some ibuprofen. The last thing you want is somebody to do a cool little front flip on stage and just string a phlegm come out of their mouth and splatter on the floor. It's cinematic looking, but also quite gross. Look at his poor little face. He's like, I front flipped 1 millimeter to the left. I'll do better.
약간 일단 청 테이프에 맞춘 거거든요. 아까는.
뭐가 문제요?
그러니까 청 테이프에 맞췄는데.
그게 지금 뭐 하는 거야 지금? 여정구, 네가 잘했는데 다른 사람이 다 틀렸다 생각해? 네가 아직도? 너 왜 그래?
죄송합니다.
잘하면 되시고.
야, 동호가. 뭐 축하 안 해줘서 삐졌냐?
아닙니다.
리더라고 뭐 내가 뭐 너한테 뭘 한 적 있냐?
빨리 찍자.
네? 제가 조금만 오른쪽으로 하면 되나요?
그래, 조금만 가면
생일 축하합니다.
Wait, were they messing with him to make his birthday surprise a bit? If that was what was happening, then just anyone out there who's planning on throwing a surprise party, while yes, being mean to somebody and not being mean is surprising, it's not a good kind of surprise. That's quite lazy surprising. I don't know if that's what just happened, but like what you feel in that situation is relief. You don't feel like wholesome birthday feels. You just feel relief and a bit confused and sad. Like, why me? Why are you crying? Because they just emotionally fucked with you? Yeah, hopefully they celebrate his birthday a little bit differently these days. Do you really want somebody to be crying as they blow out the candles? This is just... What are your thoughts? Maybe fuck you guys? Yeah.
연기가 진짜인 줄 알았어요.
Like, if you're joking about something they don't care about, then maybe that's fine, because I'll just be like, why are you talking about if I left the toilet seat up? Like, whatever, guys, get over it. But if it's something that is their identity and means a lot to them, you don't really want to play around with that as a fun topic of tomfoolery. Well, that's a birthday party he certainly won't forget. It's got that fake smile and it's like, what just happened and why?
드림 때보다 더 때깔이 있어 보인다. 가서 제일
Jesus.
밥차에 정말 진짜 맛있었다. 세 그릇 먹고 체해갖고.
하지만 빨리 우리가 뮤비를 찍고 어떤 모습으로 나오게 될지 궁금한 건 마찬가지.
My audio keeps cutting out, but I feel like it doesn't happen in the recording, so I'll just grin and bear it. But oh, it's annoying.
다들 이제 멤버들 전부 파이팅 넘치게 연습을 하고 있기 때문에 그걸 보고 있으면 되게 나도 파이팅! 이렇게 에너지가 팍팍팍 올라가서 더 열심히 할 수 있게 되는 것 같다. 지지 않겠어. 2013년 8월 23일 진해 로그 끝!
저희 방탄소년단이 데뷔한 지 100일이 된 날이죠.
이번 앨범에서 정말 더 한번 빵 터뜨려서
약간은 부담감이
Burdensome. Oh, what a fancy word.
사실 예전은 즐겁다고 생각한 적은 많이 없었던 것 같아요.
It looks like it's going to be an interesting episode.
비트 박스를 보여줘.
Well, apart from the choking, it's pretty good at that. That's dangerous for the environment and his eyes. Did he just get his nipple out? I shouldn't be rewinding this because, you know, that's but just out of interest and fairness, artistic attack.
안돼. 생각보다 굉장히 어렵다. 어때? 앞으로 직접 해봐야.
Yeah, no thanks. I'm alright. I find sitting in this chair a lot sometimes. I like how these days they still, in Run BTS, they still get excited about getting like drink and meal coupons. That's humble right there.
나의 부모리로는 팬 여러분들입니다.
Aww.
여러분 사랑해요.
I like how they kept putting stuff like back, they cringe, but I didn't see it. I thought they were like, alright, fair. Okay, that was interesting. I still feel like I learned a lot. I don't know if I like that episode as much as far as like I learned a lot. I don't know if a lot more was explained to me. I feel like there's some more context, but hopefully you guys can fill me in. Like, I was really hoping that they'd explain why V was a secret member, but they didn't really go into that at all. So, but maybe that'll be in a later one. I won't get ahead of myself. I'm going to keep reacting to this series. I hope you enjoyed my reaction to it. I'm certainly finding this, you know, very fascinating and enlightening, all that kind of stuff. And it's given me a lot to think about. Ari, you know, kids' dreams, kids' education, all that kind of stuff. BTS content makes me think, which is one of the biggest reasons I like it, I think. But yeah, make sure you are subscribed so you can check out my future reactions in this series. And like I said earlier, if you want to see Run BTS, Bon Voyage reactions, and if you want to help shape my content, because I do a thing called Patreon Thursdays, Patreon per Thursdays, where my patrons vote for which videos I do on a weekly basis, then make sure you go over and check that out. Links in the description. But thank you so much for watching this. I hope you found it as engaging and interesting as I did. I'll see you for the next one. Have a lovely, lovely day and week and all that stuff. Bye now. And remember, if you like my reaction to Chapter 2, then click the subscribe button. I'm begging you, but in a cool and nonchalant way. Yeah. Spill water again. It's embarrassing. Forgotten how to drink.